Welcome back. You were listening to another episode of KeepTheChange.co.nz's Money Mail. Good to have you tuning in once again. Week number 200 and who bloody knows what, but we are flying through the year of 2024. And before we know it, it's going to be 2025. This is week 230. Wow. But before we get to 2025, we'll remember that we've got a whole quarter to go, and I've been encouraging business owners that we speak to as part of Next Advisory to really push and make sure that they don't miss out on the opportunities that live in this final quarter. Now, as a consumer, you also need to be wise to what goes on. There's Black Fridays, Cyber Mondays, all this American type stuff that Kiwi businesses will jump on, and I want to make sure that you guys don't become the credit card Christmas type people where you're buying into the hope of interest rates decreasing and you think, righto, let's get the credit card out, why not, who cares, etc., etc. It's not going to matter when next year we're going to have way more money in disposable income because our mortgages are going to have decreased and you're going to tick shit up. And then you've got to get into that cycle of paying that off. So please do not fall into the credit card Christmas trap that I think many are about to. But equally, for business owners, they need to be thinking about how hard it becomes to collect cash from people who go away on holiday, how they still have to pay all of their wages through January, how sales can drop off, and employees, you need to understand that this is what business owners go through as well. Everybody wants to take a break. Everybody wants their annual leave. Cash is already tight, so it's a nervy time of year for business owners. They got GST to pay, provisional tax to pay, PAYE to pay, and the cash crunch can come in January. So business owners, be prepared. Go and check out the What's Next podcast if you haven't. We've got a podcast around things you need to be mindful of heading into Christmas. But all of us need to be on our toes when it comes to spending and the Christmas period on how it can just get away on us. But anyway, we're not there yet, but it's good to be thinking about these things ahead of time. Now, before we get into this week, into week 230, a couple of things. One, thank you for all the kind messages post the Purpose podcast. Now, I just hit record and just saw where it took me. As I said to you on that pod, I had a few bullet points jotted down and I had to speak to those. And yeah, got a little bit emotional there. And a lot of people said, oh, it was really great to see you being vulnerable like that, even talking to my own family about it as well. So yeah, I mean, some things I just keep to myself and they are, for me, but I do every now and then think, okay, maybe this will really speak to somebody. And so I will let you in a layer deeper, let's say, or give you some of that information. And they're not things that I always talk about, but every now and then I think, maybe this will be a better way to explain it. So hopefully you took something from that podcast around purpose. If you didn't, then go check it out. I won't spoil it for you. And then secondly, I often talk to you about doing shit and action leads to action and adding value and practicing. And the more that you do, the more opportunities will come to you. And it's just how the universe works. Now, I'm recording this on Thursday, ahead of it going out on Friday, because I fly to Australia tomorrow and I get to go to the races on Saturday and then the grand final on Sunday. Now, I'll host a room at the races on Saturday, and that's the second year I've been to the grand final in a row, and I've done a couple prior as well, but I get that opportunity because of the things that I've done. Now, just before as well, I got a message asking if I could go onto a TV show on Sunday and be a part of that, but I can't because I'm not going to be here. But years and years and years ago, I would have dreamt of being able to say yes to these sorts of things, and I get to do one of them, but that also, like going on this TV show, for instance, sort of thought, wow, that'd be really cool. I'm like, well, I just can't do it. So you put yourself in these situations by doing things over time, and then eventually you have so many opportunities that you can't even do all of them, and it's a great place to be, and it's where I think you want to be as well, in a place where the demand for you outstrips the supply, so that you have to learn to say no to and how to prioritize and what things are really going to move the needle of your life. So just thought I wanted to share that with you because it's just sort of happened, and I thought it's a good example of me always talking about just get started, just get going on your journey, and just trust me that things will happen for you. And because you put yourself out there and because you're doing things and you've got a level of energy and you're vibrating differently to other people, you'll be the people that someone thinks of when they go, I wonder if that person could fill in for us. Oh, I wonder if that person is the right person for the job. Why don't we ask them? But nothing happens if you stay quiet, do nothing, keep your head down, and don't step into who you really can be. So I hope that's another example for you. Let's get going. And we're going to be talking about goals, and this is one of my favorites. So goals, love them or hate them, it's nearly goal season, the 1st of January, when Gypsy's telling you about her bloody goals for 2025, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this. Cool stuff. But we've still got a whole quarter of 2024 to go, Gypsy. So don't wait until the 1st of January to set a goal. That's a trap that I see people fall into at this time of year. Oh, we're just going to wait till next year, eh? Rightio, Brucey. What the are you doing, mate? What are you doing? We've still got 3 months to go, mate. Let's make the most of it. Realistically as well, sometimes we don't even need a new year, or we don't even need a big, sexy goal in our life. Why not focus on current goals and achieving them faster? What I mean by this is think about what you had already set earlier in the year, and don't fall into the trap of A, thinking, I'll wait till next year and I'll start a new goal, and B, creating this big new sexy thing and forgetting about what you were planning on doing. Here's a good way to think about it. So sometimes what I get business owners to do is to set a massive 5-year goal of where do you want this business to be in 5 years? What do you want your life to look like? What's possible? What could you earn? What could you have? How long could you holiday? All these different things. And sometimes it'll scare the shit out of them, and I'm like, you've got to think bigger. Surely you can do more than that in 5 years, etc., etc. And someone did this to me this week as well. And then they start to get this point where they're a bit uncomfortable because they're like, well, shit, like that's a lot to try and do in 5 years. Then I say to them, well, do you think you could achieve it in 10 years? And just about every time they say, yeah. And then they tell me exactly how. When I say, oh, okay, well, how would you do that? And they're like, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, and then we'd have to do that. And then because we've done that, well, then that would lead to that. So, yeah, we just have to do those 4 or 5 things. So it's a powerful way to think about goals. But too many people get stuck in the, oh, wait till next year, and oh, got to do another shiny thing again. We just got to double down on the goal that we have right now that we haven't really ticked off. But that's a good framework as well to be thinking about, where do I want to be in 5 years, and then get real excited about it, and then when it gets scary, go, what about 10? If I could do it in 10 years, do I know how to do it? And we'll come back to that. But think about this, maybe our goals scare us because we don't want to go through the pain of taking the time to do it. So when we know that it's going to take us time, we think, oh man, this sucks. This is going to take ages, and it's unfulfilling to think, oh, I don't want to wait 10 or 20 years for this. But maybe that's why banks give us 20 to 30 years to pay off a mortgage, and we accept that as doable because everyone else is doing exactly the same. So they know that it's going to scare the shit out of us to try and squeeze it down into a 5 or 10 year period as well, and that's too painful for us, and so we'd go, well, I'm not doing that. So then they say, well, we'll let you do 20 or 30 years. Your goal is to pay it off in 20 or 30 years. You'll be mortgage free in 20 or 30 years. You think, oh yeah, that's pretty doable. That's not too painful. But doing it quickly would be. But then you meet some mad son of a bitch, and they'll tell you that they can clear it in 7 years, and you think, what are they smoking? What are they earning? They must be rich. And who are their parents? That's where the brain goes to, right? But that's not going to help us. So our mind instead goes to, what are they doing that I don't know about? What are they doing that I could learn from? Wouldn't that be more useful for us if that's where our brains went to? Now, just because the bank set us a framework of 20 to 30 years to pay off a mortgage, that doesn't really mean it's a goal. And Mikey says this really well. He said on a podcast one time, the goal is to buy a property, not to have a 20 or 30 year loan. Someone messaged me like, what does he mean? What do you think he means? He means the goal is to not have your mortgage for that long. The goal is that you wanted to buy a property, not to have a mortgage for that long. So if someone said to me, well, my goal is to pay off my mortgage, I'm not like, okay, cool anymore. I'm like, okay, by when? Because we want to put some deadlines around this stuff, right? And then often what happens though is that someone will have some sort of realistic date that they know isn't really possible, but they think that they've got to think real big and big, hairy, audacious goals, stuff like that. So like, oh, in 3 years' time. You're like, come on, is that really possible, how we're currently operating? So this can become disheartening, can't it? And then we're like, goals suck. There's no point of doing this. So then what I say is, okay, well, if you had 10 years to clear your mortgage, do you think it's possible? And then, just like the business owners were like, oh, well, yeah. And then they can probably explain how they would do it. So sometimes I think we have to challenge ourselves, because the bank are lending us a certain amount of money based on our income and what we can afford in that current situation. But you're not going to stay like that person. Who you are in that situation when you apply for that loan is not who you are for the next 20 or 30 years. But they don't give a fuck. They want you to pay it off over a long period of time. And they'll say that they don't, but what's going to make them more profit? And shout out to all the people listening from the banks. I know, yes, some of you probably do want people to pay it off and whatnot, but realistically, there's no education out there at scale being like, hey guys, like, don't take that long to pay it off, like, clear that, is it? We just mold ourselves into the person that takes 20 to 30 years to pay it off, when really we could challenge ourselves to think, well, could I do it in 10 years? Okay, how would I do that? Now, somehow these people that do buy into a goal like this, they actually already know exactly what they have to do. And they know that they need to take action and then do the doing. Over the years, the plan evolves and then they speed up the process. And it might not even take the whole 10 years because action compounds. And this could be somebody who learns about what happens when you earn extra income, pay the tax on that, and then use that money to clear down your mortgage. And you might start playing with a mortgage calculator. You might understand a revolving credit, or just what is possible when you can focus on clearing debt and basically taking all of your extra disposable income and sending that in to battle against the mortgage instead of just paying what the bank tell you to pay. But it starts with a goal, right? Because goals give us direction. So in this example we've just been talking about, it's clearing your mortgage faster. And that's not going to be for everyone, so I'll come to some other examples soon. But timeframes can motivate or scare us. But actions make it happen, because action leads to more action, which means new light bulbs and more momentum. Just like this legend. So I got this email that says, I've listened to every single episode of KTC, including all the In Case You Weren't Listening episodes, which are repeats of some of the most popular episodes. And I wanted to thank you for your content and let you know it's changed my financial life. So now we're down to 99,999. Probably should be well below that anyway, because we've got heaps of people that have said that this has helped them. So I don't know what the actual number is, but we know that we've impacted a number of people. Anyway, they say, I don't think I'm your intended demographic. I'm an almost 50-year-old female nurse who doesn't have an entrepreneurial bone in my body, but I'm still a fan of your content. Sadly, I only became financially literate recently, about 4 years ago. I had already started the process of paying off my mortgage at an accelerated rate when I started to listen to your podcast about a year ago. My focus was on the frugality and minimalism in order to pay this off as fast as possible. I was resigned to going without in order to reach my goal. After listening to your advice, I instead applied for a second job and now have a full-time job and a casual weekend job. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have to work 2 jobs, etc. This is their goal and this is their journey. So let them do their thing. So for this calendar year, I've made an additional $12,616 net from my casual job. I know someone's serious about their shit when they tell me the exact dollar amounts. Like, this is some serious tracking. This lady is going to achieve this goal. I can tell because I've talked to so many people. But when they have the level of detail like this, I know how lasered in on their goals that they are. They say every single cent has gone into the mortgage payments in addition to the extra overpayments I was already making from my full-time wage. The motivation I get from you, besides your productivity positive content, is that when I'm tired or feel too busy, I think, what would Luke do? That's a little bit scary, to be honest. But I mean, it's a good way to think. And I suck it up and I go to work. I should be mortgage-free in 2 years or less. How good? How good. Now, they tried the frugality and minimalism type thing, and hey, that's like one lever, but then they've found the content and thought, well, maybe I could go extra income and speed this thing up even more. I hope that I'm adding value like you emphasize. Is that right? Yeah, emphasize. Anyway, like I said, maths and numbers and stuff, that's me. So you English teachers, stop laughing at me. But I started the pod by talking about adding value, right? And that's what happens. You find opportunities. But also, I have learned a lot from this new job. Wow, amazing. New job? new learning. So thank you again for your content. I wish there was a way that it could be compulsory listening for every 20-year-old male in New Zealand. Don't let the keyboard warriors trolls get you down. Don't feel the need to answer this email. I know you're busy. And I said, well, actually, thank you, because you're going to help me finish off a money mail that I had part written. So now they've helped me. So let's call this person Georgie, the goal-getter, not Gypsy, the wait till 1st of January person, okay? Georgie has done a lot right here. Let's think about it. Setting a goal which provides her with direction. So the goal is to clear the mortgage. Her brain starts finding solutions to do this faster, i.e., okay, frugality, minimalism. Then she comes across the Keep the Change podcast and is open to the lessons, but her brain was looking for it. Do you think if she didn't have the goal to clear the mortgage, do you think that she would have spotted the Keep the Change podcast? Probably not, because it probably wouldn't have interested her, because it wouldn't be in alignment with her goals. So, Georgie takes even more action by earning income, and that speeds up the process even faster. She's doing good work in the community, she's learning from it, she's adding value, and she feels good about herself as well. Notice in here she's not like, oh, I'm really burnt out, and oh, fuck, I can't believe it, I've got a second job and the world's against me. It's all positive. She's happy. What a bloody shock. What an unbelievable world that we live in, where you could actually have a part-time job on top of your full-time job and be pretty happy, when your first full-time job is actually serving people as a nurse as well. Amazing. Amazing. So, yeah, be careful of all the shit about, all the negative stuff about working. Sometimes it's good for us, especially if we can see that there's a goal at the end of it as well. So she takes even more action, speeds up her process, and how she achieves it is different to how she thought she would achieve it. Now, what I mean by that, and I'm speaking on her behalf, but I just about guess, is that when she started thinking about the goal to clear the mortgage, she probably thought, well, I just need to spend less and pay it off, and then, hooray, the mortgage will be paid off. But instead, her brain is finding more solutions, and now how she'll pay it down is actually different to how she thought she would pay it down. And her time frame shrinks. So, she does it different to how she thought she would do it, and she does it faster than what she thought was possible. And finally, her goal will be achieved. And I've told her to let me know when she does it, because I have 146% confidence that she will achieve this and that Georgie will kill this mortgage. So congrats and good on her. That is epic and inspirational. But it just shows how important and powerful a goal can be, and how simple it can be too, and what it can lead to that we don't often realize that it will lead to for us until we get going. But Georgie did get one thing wrong here, and that was her not realizing that she is my intended demographic. So she said, as a reminder, I'm an almost 50-year-old female nurse. I don't think I'm your intended demographic. Well, no, wrong. People who take action are my demographic. People who are going to improve their situation and increase the wealth of the nation, those are my people. The whole cut your subscriptions and reuse your rinsed out tea bags isn't enough when you set a massive goal like killing your mortgage. You have to think about what someone who would be mortgage free in X time frame really needs to do. And think about that. Who are you different when you are 20 or 10 years into your mortgage than when you took your mortgage out? You're becoming somebody different each year. But when they lent you the money, they lent it to you based on who you were at the time of the application and your ability to service the debt. They don't check in and be like, hey, you had any pay rises? Oh, inheritance? Oh, have you become more valuable? Have you learned a new skill? Do you want to pay it off faster? Does that happen? I doubt it. Maybe your mortgage advisor might do that for you. But there's a powerful lesson there. When you apply for debt, you're the person you are there. But you're not going to stay the same as that person. You don't want to. You want to grow. And that means that you can pay it off faster and you can become somebody else. So you have to think as well about who you would have to become to pay off a mortgage in 10 years rather than 20 or 30. What sorts of things would they be doing? And are you willing to do that and be that person? And as I said before, it might not be about becoming mortgage free. It could be about stacking a house deposit. You might be thinking that you're going to give up on that. But what do the people have to do in order to do that? Who do they have to become? What sorts of things do they have to do by becoming somebody that they once weren't in order to do that? And I'm not talking average parents, okay? We're looking for practical solutions here. You don't want to be looking for all the reasons you can't do it. You want to be thinking, who would I have to be in order to do this? What about having $10,000 invested? If that's the goal, Well, who would you have to be in order to do that? Probably somebody who invests and listens to investing content and who has an investing account and who has an automatic payment set up to it and who ignores all of the noise when the economy gets tough and doesn't freak out when there's a war, which is scary, but you've got to learn who to be through that process, not, oh shit, there's a war started again, another one in the Middle East. God's sake, I probably shouldn't be an investor. No, I won't do that. You're trying to zoom out. How would Warren Buffett approach it? Did he sell all of his stocks when that started? So what can we learn from these other people? What about building an emergency fund? That might be the start point, and it could just be trying to stack some cash, and that's sweet. Doesn't matter what stage you're at. Who do you have to become in order to do that? Just somebody that is trying to start an emergency fund. Do they go out and do they tear up Courtney Place on a Friday and a Saturday when they had planned staying home for the weekend and saving money and not spending any money so that they could have some cash in an account and know that they've got that emergency fund stacked aside? Or are they out there smacking Jaeger Red Bulls? Let's be real. When the Friday night drinks finish and it's like, right, who's coming out? We're going to the teppanyaki and then we're into it. No, not this week, sorry. Who do you have to become in order to achieve your goal? Now, I think that you know what you need to do because a lot of us actually do, and a lot of the people that I work with in business, they know what they need to do to achieve their goals. So as we head into the fourth quarter of 2024, it's pretty crazy. 2024 is nearly gone. It's going to be 2025. It's going to feel like a good year, I reckon, with a 5 on the end. Fuck yeah, bring it on. As we head into the fourth quarter, what is your massive goal? And then if you had 10 years to achieve it, how would you do it? Got your answers? I know that you do. So start today, not on the 1st of January. You don't have to wait, Gypsy. Get stuck into it. Did you know the national median dwelling value has fallen from $844,825 in February this year to $805,426 in September? That is with CoreLogic's data. So property prices continue to fall, but interest rates are starting to fall. What's that going to mean? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But we'll keep you updated. Be good out there. Think about who you have to be. And be that person. Achieve your goals.